The silver
Revenge story
Volvo
with Angel.
XC90 gleamed in the late Sunday light as Clara Morgan pulled into her mother's driveway. The air smelled faintly of lilac and roast beef. She hadn't planned to drive that particular car. It was simply the most comfortable for the 40-minute trip to her mother's quiet neighborhood in Ridgewood, Oregon. Inside, she helped set the table, arranging the plates with the familiar calm of someone who knew exactly what kind of evening awaited her. Her 8-year-old nephew, Ethan, burst through the screen door, cheeks pink with excitement. "Aunt Clara, is that your car out there? The shiny one?" She smiled faintly, folding a napkin. "It is. It looks like a spaceship," he said. "Can I sit in it later?" Before she could answer, her older sister, Rebecca, swept into the dining room, her perfume arriving a few seconds before her words. "Ethan, sweetie," Rebecca said with a polished smile, "that's not Aunt Clara's car. She borrowed it from her company for the weekend, didn't you, Clara?" The room quieted as forks hesitated midair. Marion, their mother, glanced up from carving the roast. David, Rebecca's husband, shifted awkwardly in his chair. Only Ethan looked confused. "But she said it's hers," he murmured. Rebecca's tone softened, sugary and sharp. "Go wash your hands, sweetheart." After Ethan left, Rebecca kept her voice light. "It's just we all know how much nonprofit jobs pay. I didn't realize they came with company cars." Clara folded another napkin. "It's not a company car." Their aunt, Lydia, chuckled softly as she passed the potatoes. "Back in my day, we bought our own cars. No perks, no favors." Laughter followed, thin and awkward. Clara smiled politely, the kind of practiced smile she'd perfected over years of family dinners that felt more like cross-examinations. She placed the last napkin down and said, "Excuse me, I just remembered I have an early morning meeting." "But dinner's not even served," Marion said, her voice hovering between concern and relief. "Save me some leftovers," Clara replied, reaching for her purse. The silence behind her followed like perfume as she walked toward the front door. Ethan met her in the hallway, hands still damp. "You're leaving already?" "I have to, buddy. But next time you visit, I'll let you sit in the car. Deal?" His face lit up. "Really? Really?" Clara drove away under the fading gold of evening, the Volvos hummed steady and low. Behind her, the laughter resumed, smaller, duller. They would dissect her departure over dessert. She could already hear the tone. So sensitive. Can't take a joke. She turned onto the highway, her reflection faint in the darkened window. She had learned long ago that leaving quietly was sometimes louder than staying to argue. By the time she reached her gated neighborhood outside Lakewood, her phone was vibrating with notifications, 17 in total. The family group chat, no doubt. She ignored them, parked in her actual driveway, and stepped out into silence. Her home, 3 stories of glass and stone, perched above the lake, was not the condo her family believed she rented downtown. Inside, her cat wound around her ankles, meowing for dinner. She fed him, poured herself a glass of wine, and tried to watch the documentary she'd been meaning to start. At 10:41 p.m., her phone buzzed again, a message from Rebecca. "Don't forget the house payment is due on the 5th. Can you transfer it by then?" Clara stared at the screen. The house payment. Rebecca's house, 4 bedrooms, white shutters, big yard on Cedar Lane. The same house Clara had bought 3 years ago, under a discreet trust in her name. Rebecca and David made monthly payments, believing they were working toward ownership. Clara typed back, "Everything will be settled." Rebecca replied instantly. "What does that mean? Just say yes or no." Clara didn't answer. Instead, she opened her laptop. Her spreadsheet glowed in the dark room. Under Properties Cedar Lane portfolio, 6 addresses appeared. Rebecca's was the 4th. When she'd started buying real estate 8 years earlier, no one in the family had cared much. They'd called it her little side project, something she did to feel important. She let them think that. It was easier. Rebecca's house had been the easiest deal. She'd needed a co-signer, and Clara had quietly written the check. Back then, Rebecca had cried in the kitchen, clutching her husband's hand. "You're a lifesaver, Clara." I swear, we'll refinance as soon as we can. Clara had smiled and said, take your time. Now, 3 years later, there had been no refinancing. Just monthly payments that covered the mortgage and a small profit. It wasn't revenge. It was business. But Rebecca had long rewritten it in her head as charity she extended to her younger, less successful sister. Tuesday morning, Clara's property manager called. Morning, Clara. Got a new tenant application for 229 Cedar. Young couple, teachers, good references. Run the background check, Clara said. No rush. Also, he added, Rebecca's payment was 3 days late last month. Second time this year. I noticed, Clara said calmly. Make a note, but don't act yet. When she hung up, she found herself replaying Sunday dinner in her head, the smirk, the tone, the casual cruelty that came so naturally to Rebecca. Years of it, small and precise. She finally opened the family group chat. Rebecca. Clara left in a huff again. Sensitive much? David, face with tears of joy. Aunt Lydia. Kids these days can't take a joke. Marcus, her brother, maybe lay off Clara. We don't actually know her situation. Rebecca. Trust me, I know exactly what her situation is. I'm literally helping her stay afloat. Clara locked her phone and exhaled slowly. Her inbox offered a cleaner reality. Emails from her financial advisor about expanding her portfolio, one from her accountant confirming another six-figure quarter, and one from a contractor finishing renovations on 2 new properties. Then her mother's voicemail arrived. Honey, Rebecca said you're upset about Sunday. She didn't mean anything. Call her back, okay? She's worried about the house payment thing. Clara deleted it without listening twice. By Wednesday, Rebecca was calling directly. Clara, this is ridiculous. It was a joke. Just confirm you'll have the payment in, please. I need to plan my budget. Clara didn't reply. By Thursday, her property manager called again. Rebecca just called the office asking strange questions about ownership and equity. What kind of questions? Whether she's building any. Whether you can take the house back. I see, Clara said. Thanks for letting me know. She opened the digital file Rebecca had signed 3 years earlier. Everything was spelled out. Rebecca could purchase the house anytime by refinancing. Until then, Clara owned it. If payments were more than 30 days late, eviction procedures could begin. Standard contract. Reviewed by both lawyers. No fine print. Just a truth Rebecca had chosen never to fully read. Friday afternoon, the group chat erupted again. Marcus. What's happening with Clara and Rebecca? Mom's freaking out. Rebecca. She's ghosting everyone and threatening to take my house. Lydia. Families shouldn't let money ruin things. Mom. Clara, call your sister. Clara muted the thread. She opened a new document titled Statement of Ownership and began to type. That evening, she drove to Cedar Lane, the street she had quietly built an empire on. One by one, she passed the homes she owned. Number 229, young couple with a Labrador. Number 233, retired school teachers, always early with rent. Number 240, Rebecca's, toys scattered on the uncut lawn. Number 244, under renovation. Number 247, new tenants moving in next week. Number 251, recently leased to a small family with twins. Her street, her investments, her silence. Saturday morning, Rebecca showed up at Clara's downtown office, suite unannounced. Clara was reviewing contractor bids when a sharp knock echoed through the glass door. She looked up, startled but unsurprised. Rebecca never texted before intruding. The door opened before Clara could respond. We need to talk, Rebecca said, stepping inside, face flushed from the cold. Clara leaned back in her chair. Hello, Rebecca. Don't hello me. Why won't you answer my calls? What's going on? Are you actually threatening to evict me? You signed a contract, Clara said evenly. I thought it was temporary, Rebecca snapped. I thought I was building toward owning it. You are. When you exercise your purchase option. I can't afford to buy it now. The market's insane. That's what happens when properties appreciate. Rebecca's hands tightened around her purse strap. This is because of Sunday, isn't it? The car, the joke. You're punishing me. This has nothing to do with Sunday, Clara replied. Then why are you being so cold? Clara looked at her sister, her reflection of childhood privilege and parental pride. I'm not being cold. I'm being clear. Rebecca blinked, as if the calmness offended her. You wouldn't actually evict me. If payments are late, the contract allows it. You're my sister, and your landlord. The words hung there, heavy and final. Rebecca opened her mouth, closed it again, and whispered, I never meant to hurt you. Clara smiled faintly. You never meant to notice me either. When Rebecca left, Clara didn't move for a long time. Her hands rested quietly on her desk, her expression unreadable. She'd spent years building stability out of silence, respect out of dismissal. Her family had always preferred the version of her that failed quietly. They had never imagined she could own the walls around their stories. Her phone buzzed again, missed calls, unanswered texts, family panic, collecting like static. She turned it face down and went back to work. By the following Thursday, Rebecca's payment still hadn't arrived. Clara didn't bother to remind her. The system sent the notice automatically. Payment overdue. Grace period of 15 days. Eviction proceedings began after 30 days. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was charged waiting. Her phone lit up endlessly. She ignored every call until one name appeared she hadn't seen in months. Mark, her younger brother. She didn't answer that either. Friday evening, Clara returned home just as the sky turned violet over Lakewood. She poured herself tea, opened her laptop, and reviewed renovation progress on her newest acquisition, a duplex she'd purchased entirely in cash. Outside, the lake rippled in soft twilight. Her peace was fragile, but real, until the doorbell rang. When she opened the door, Mark stood there, tall, calm, and carrying the faint exhaustion of someone sent to make peace for other people. How did you find this place? She asked quietly. I hired someone, Mark admitted. Cost me $400. You're hard to find, Clara. He stepped inside, glancing around the sunlit foyer, the high ceilings, the lake view.
Wow.
They have no idea, do they? She shook her head.
No.
He gave a low whistle. Lauren's sorry. Rebecca's losing her mind. Mom's crying every day. They sent me to beg you not to evict her. I didn't ask her to miss her payment, Clara replied. I know, he said gently. And I'm not here to beg. Honestly, they've had it coming. Mark wandered through the house, taking in the understated elegance, the polished wood floors, the framed architectural sketches, the quiet beauty that spoke of discipline, not luck. You really built all this, he said softly. Brick by brick, Clara replied. He turned to face her. You know Rebecca's been telling everyone she helps you out financially? Clara didn't flinch. I assumed. She told her book club she pays part of your rent. Interesting, Clara said dryly.
Mark shook his head.
Mom believes it. Half the family believes it. I had to see for myself. Clara sat across from him, her calm unbroken. I own 6 properties on Cedar Lane. I own this house outright. I don't owe anyone anything. Mark studied her face, then nodded slowly.
Good.
I'm proud of you. She blinked, taken off guard. You are?
Always have been.
You just made different choices. They never forgave you for that. The words hung between them, honest and heavy. After a moment, he asked quietly, Are you really going through with it? If she doesn't pay, yes. It'll destroy the family. They destroyed me quietly years ago. I'm just doing it out loud. They sat in silence, the kind that didn't need explaining. Finally, Mark sighed. Ethan doesn't deserve this. Clara's expression softened. I know. He adores you. Don't make him collateral damage. That hit harder than any accusation. Ethan's small, hopeful face, his excitement about the car, his innocent loyalty, rose unbidden in her mind. She looked toward the window, where the lake shimmered under a rising moon. I'll think about it, she said. Mark nodded, stood, and rested a hand on her shoulder. For what it's worth, You're doing fine, Clara.
Better than fine.
After he left, the silence returned, softer this time. Clara stood at the window, watching her reflection blend into the dark water. She had spent so long being underestimated that success had become her form of solitude. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Rebecca.
Please. I'll have the payment Monday.
I'm sorry for everything. Don't do this to my family. Clara stared at the text for nearly a minute before replying. Payment due Monday. Late fee waived this once. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, then she added. But Rebecca, my name stays on the deed as sole owner. And stop telling people you're supporting me. If I hear one more story like that, eviction begins immediately.
She hit send.
3 minutes later, the dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. Finally, Rebecca's reply came through. We're clear. Clara set the phone down and exhaled, the air leaving her lungs like something years overdue. Outside, the lake mirrored the last traces of daylight, rippling softly under the wind. Some lessons Clara thought cost money. Others cost pride. The hardest ones cost illusion, the comfortable stories people tell themselves about who is winning and who is not. Her family had written her into their story as the fragile one, the dreamer, the failure. She had let them. It made her victories quieter, her dignity cleaner. The following week, Rebecca's payment arrived on time. No messages, no emojis, no explanations. Just the transaction. Clara marked it as received, sent a formal receipt through her property manager, and closed the file. Her peace wasn't triumphant. It was steady. Like the hum of the Volvo, like the rhythm of work done right. She didn't need Rebecca's acknowledgement. Only her respect. And that, perhaps, would come in silence. Sunday came again. The group chat buzzed faintly, then died. No one mentioned the house, the payment, or the argument. Instead, Aunt Lydia shared recipes. Mom posted photos of her garden. Life rearranged itself around the new truth without anyone saying it aloud. Clara didn't go to dinner that week. She drove to Cedar Lane instead, parking quietly by the curb. Through Rebecca's window, she saw Ethan laughing at the dining table. For a brief moment, Clara smiled. Ethan spotted her car and darted toward the window, waving wildly. Clara rolled down the window and waved back. He mouthed something she couldn't hear, but she knew. Can I still sit in the car next time? She nodded once, a silent promise. Then she drove off before Rebecca could appear behind him. Some distances, she had learned, kept love intact better than closeness ever could. Back at home, she poured herself another glass of wine and watched the sunset spill gold across the lake. Her laptop sat open on the counter, displaying an email draft to her financial advisor. Subject line: Commercial Expansion Proposal. She clicked send. Outside, porch lights flickered on around the neighborhood. Across the water, her own reflection looked back, steadier now, unshaken. Cedar Lane glowed faintly in the distance that night, each house lit like a chapter she had written in secret. They had underestimated her for years, and she had let them. Now, truth lived in property deeds, in clean contracts, in quiet dignity. Clara Morgan no longer needed to be seen to exist. Her life spoke for itself, in glass windows, paid mortgages, and silence. For the first time in years, she smiled not out of politeness, but peace. Her story had never been about proving them wrong. It had always been about finally standing right,